going on, MMA fans? I'm back to do my Strikeforce Heavy Artillery review video. I'm not going to go crazy into depth on this card, only because I have not been feeling good today, and I apologize about that ahead of time. Nasty virus stuff going around, and lucky to even get this video busted out, considering that. But I'm just going to run down the card. I'm going to talk about what the outcome was, and then talk about some things that I noticed in the fight. Rafael Cavalcante versus Antoine Britt. Fejao wins via first-round knockout. Couple things. Number one, Britt was doing better in the fight. He was landing the better combinations in the pocket. Had a couple good clinch opportunities. For whatever reason, he didn't go for takedowns. I don't know if maybe that was because he felt a strength disadvantage, or he thought he was doing better on the feet, which he was doing. Fejao, was able to land the nice counter hook to rock Britt and then finish him on the ground after landing some more shots on the feet. For him, he's probably more than likely going to fight King Mo for the 205 light heavyweight championship in Strikeforce. For Britt, he'll be back. He's improved with his boxing. His wrestling's good. His cardio's good. He'll definitely be back. It'll be interesting to see who they give him next in his next fight. On to the next fight, Kevin Randleman versus Roger Gracie. Gracie goes on to win via a second-round rear naked choke. And that was the theme of this night. If you look at the undercard, there were 3 other rear naked chokes and 2 guillotine chokes. Overall, Gracie, did all right with his boxing. It wasn't his most impressive performance with his boxing. He has looked better with that, but he was able to, do good with the jab, keeping Randleman at a distance, not allowing Randleman to get inside and land good combinations. Randleman in the second, did land some body shots. He landed a nice hook. But overall, Gracie had the better, of the jab. He had a couple takedown attempts, even though, Randleman was able to shrug them off. He was able to get, a flush knee that he landed to Randleman, then get his back, and then sink in the rear naked choke. So, congratulations to Gracie. We'll see where he goes from here for Randleman. More than likely, this is his last fight in Strikeforce. Where he goes from here, as far as his MMA career, we'll have to see how that plays out. All right, on to the next fight, Renato Jacare Souza versus Joey Villasenor. Jacare goes on to win a unanimous decision. Villasenor, had some really good, not only submission, let me rephrase this. Not only did he have good submission defense, but he had very, very good guard defense. He, had a couple good elevator sweeps that he had. He got out of a nasty Kimura to almost a straight arm lock that Jacare had him in from half guard. Jacare had some good combinations on the feet, gassed towards the the end of the second. Villasenor had some of the better combinations in the third, but Jacare just did enough with the takedowns and enough with the submission attempts and even the boxing in the first and the second, I think, to pull out the fight, as well as doing pretty well in the third as well with some of the takedowns. So Jacare wins a unanimous decision for him. We'll see where he goes from here. He'll either fight Jake Shields if he gets re-signed for the middleweight title, or possibly fight someone else for the vacant middleweight title. For Villasenor, he'll be back. He did impress in this fight. Many thought that he would get submitted. He proved a lot of people wrong, as well as showing some really, really good guard defense. So we'll have to see where he goes from here. All right, on to the next fight, co-main event, Antonio Bigfoot Silva versus Andrei Arlovski. Silva wins via a unanimous decision. Just had the better of the combinations. Hit Arlovski with some really flush shots in the pocket with some good combinations. Arlovski, really only had 3 things going for him in this fight. The nice inside leg kick, the overhand right, the counter overhand right he was trying to land, and the pawing jab here and there that he was trying to gauge not only the distance but timing with Silva, and just wasn't able to do that. Silva had a couple takedowns, had the better of the combinations, and goes on to win. So congratulations to him. He may get the loser of Rogers and Overeem, which I'll discuss that fight here in just a second. For Arlovski, his 3rd consecutive loss, it'll be interesting to see who he gets after this. It'll be interesting to see, what Strikeforce does with him. Is this his last fight in Strikeforce? We don't know. We'll have to see how that plays out. All right, on to the main event, Alistair Overeem versus Brett Rogers. Alistair Overeem wins via first-round TKO. Overeem was able to land really good inside and outside leg kicks. had a nice combination. Kind of threw Brett Rogers to the side when Rogers tried to clinch with him. Was able to get on top of him, land some nice knees to the body, and then stop Rogers later on in the first round. So for Rogers, he didn't look very impressive in this fight. He had a couple good 1-2 combinations, but overall, other than that and a couple nice jabs, just did not look very, very good. Overeem, controlled most aspects of this fight and was able to stop Rogers. Maybe Rogers will get Silva next in his next fight. We'll see how that plays out for Overeem. There's been talks that the Fedor fight could happen. Coker was talking about how M1 was talking that if Fedor gets past Verdum, maybe that fight will happen. We'll see how that plays out. Fight that we didn't get to see on the undercard: Lyle Beerbomb Fancy Pants versus Shaolin Ibero. Beerbomb wins a split decision, and from judging from the play-by-play, it seems like there was a lot of takedown attempts that did not happen, and a lot of submission attempts that did happen. And it seems like it was a close decision. So I'd be interested to see this fight, although I don't think that this Strikeforce normally doesn't either televise or even record their undercards, so we may not even get to see this ever. But if this fight does become available, I definitely want to see this to see what happened. But close decision, Fancy Pants. This was his last fight. It'll be interesting to see whether he goes back to Strikeforce. He's had a distaste for them for a while, and really doesn't like, I guess, the way that things are run with Strikeforce and the way Coker runs things. So it'll be interesting to see whether or not Beerbomb gets signed back to Strikeforce. For Shaolin, he'll definitely be back. It'll be interesting to see who he gets next as well. So those were that was my review for the Strikeforce Heavy Artillery card. Again, I apologize about not doing a full-fledged review on this. Just haven't been feeling good. I'll be back later on this week to do my UFC 114 predictions video. So until then, you guys, take it easy.